The coffee was still warm when the lights went out. I didn't panic at first. Power fluctuations happened on deep space assignments, standard procedure, but then my terminal died mid-sentence, and the hum I'd lived with for 8 months, the constant background drone of the life support systems, disappeared completely. That's when I noticed the silence. Perfect, absolute silence doesn't exist on a ship. There's always something. Air recyclers, hydraulic pumps, the subtle vibration of the fusion core 3 decks below, but right then, floating in my chair with my coffee drifting away in 0G, I heard nothing at all. "Martinez?" I called out. My voice sounded too loud in the dark. "Chen? Anyone?" No response. Emergency lighting should have kicked in by now. My hand found the wall panel, muscle memory guiding me through the pitch black of the observation module. I triggered the manual override. Nothing happened. I pulled out my personal comm. Dead. The backup battery indicator didn't even light up. I checked my watch. The old mechanical one my father gave me, the one that didn't need power, still running. So this wasn't some temporal anomaly or jump malfunction. Time was passing normally. Everything else had just stopped. I pushed off toward the corridor, navigating by memory and touch. The observation module connected to the main hub through a narrow passage. I'd made this trip 1,000 times, but in complete darkness, with no sound except my own breathing. It felt like swimming through ink. Halfway down the corridor, my hand brushed against something wet. I jerked back instinctively. In 0G, liquid doesn't behave like it should. This wasn't beating up the way water would, it was spreading, coating the wall in a thin film. I touched it again, carefully, warm, slightly viscous. My stomach tightened. "Hello?" I pushed forward faster now, not bothering to be careful. "Is anyone?" I bounced into something solid, something that shouldn't have been there. The corridor was clear, always clear. I reached out in the darkness and felt fabric, a uniform, a body. "Chen. Chen, wake up." I grabbed what I thought was a shoulder, shook it, no response. I felt for a pulse at the neck, nothing. The skin was cold, not recently dead cold, long dead cold, but I'd seen Chen 2 hours ago. We'd eaten breakfast together in the galley. She'd complained about the recycled eggs, made a joke about the color being closer to gray than yellow. That was 2 hours ago. I pushed away from the body, from Chen, and tried to remember my emergency training. Shock could wait. Figure out what happened, restore power, send a distress signal, follow the protocols. The main hub should have been just ahead. I moved slowly now, hands out, expecting to touch another body at any moment. When I finally reached the wider space of the hub, I could tell by the way my voice echoed. 6 corridors branched off from here, leading to different sections of the research vessel. Prometheus. Something was glowing, faint, barely visible, but definitely there. A soft blue luminescence coming from the corridor that led to the bridge. I oriented myself toward it, moving carefully. As I got closer, the light grew stronger, not normal emergency lighting. This was wrong somehow, too organic. It pulsed slightly, like breathing. The bridge door was open. That never happened. Security protocols kept it locked even during normal operations. I pulled myself through and stopped. Every surface was covered in the blue light. It wasn't coming from any console or panel. It was the surfaces themselves, glowing from within like they'd absorbed some kind of bioluminescent paint. The captain's chair sat empty in the center, the navigation console to my left, the communications array to my right, the main view screen ahead, all of them emitting that same eerie blue glow. And on the view screen, something was moving, not the stars, not an asteroid field or nebula, something else. The screen showed black space, but in that blackness, shapes were shifting, flowing, like oil on water, but three-dimensional, patterns that hurt to look at directly because they seemed to exist in more dimensions than my eyes could process. I forced myself to look away and focus on the consoles. The glow made them barely readable, but I could make out enough. Navigation showed our position as unknown, not uncharted space, actually unknown, with question marks where coordinates should be. Communications showed active channels, but no data moving through them. Life support was offline completely. Wait, life support was offline. I was breathing. I'd been breathing this whole time. How long had I been awake since the power died? 20 minutes. 30. The air should be getting stale by now, carbon dioxide building up, but I felt fine, better than fine. My head was clear, no headache, no dizziness, none of the early signs of oxygen deprivation. I pulled myself to the captain's chair and strapped in, more for the psychological comfort than any practical reason. The command console had manual override options. If I could get even basic power flowing, I could check the crew status, figure out what happened, maybe even restore gravity and proper life support. My hands moved across the controls, still glowing that wrong blue, and I triggered the manual restart sequence. The ship needed to respond, it had to respond. These systems had backups. For the backups, redundancies built into every critical function. You don't send a research vessel 3 years into deep space without making damn sure it can survive anything. Nothing happened. I tried again, then again, each time, my fingers following the exact sequence they drilled into me during training. Each time, nothing. That's when I noticed my hands. In the blue light, they looked normal at first, but as I held them up, turning them slowly, I saw something underneath the skin, veins. Yes, but something else too, thin threads of that same blue luminescence, branching through my flesh like a secondary circulatory system, faint, barely visible, but definitely there. I grabbed the medical scanner from the emergency kit mounted beside the captain's chair, manual device, battery-powered, independent of ship systems. I held it over my left hand and activated it. The readout made no sense. My heart rate showed normal, blood pressure normal, temperature slightly elevated but within acceptable range, but there was another reading. Something the scanner's software flagged as an unknown foreign substance in my bloodstream, concentration approximately 12%. And rising, 12% of my blood wasn't blood anymore. I started laughing. I couldn't help it. The sound echoed in the empty bridge, bouncing off walls that glowed with something that shouldn't exist. The laughter turned into coughing, then back to laughter, and I realized I was having a breakdown. Shock, probably, delayed reaction to finding Chen dead in the corridor, to waking up alone on a dead ship, to discovering I was infected with something impossible. I forced myself to breathe slowly, count to 10, focus on what I could control. First, I was alive, breathing, thinking clearly despite whatever was in my bloodstream. Second, the ship was dead, but I'd found one power device, this medical scanner. That meant power sources still worked, just not the ship's main systems. Third, I needed to find the rest of the crew, 7 other people besides Chen. If they were all dead, I needed to know. If any were alive, I needed to find them. Fourth, I needed to figure out what was outside the ship, what those shapes on the view screen were. Because something told me that was connected to everything else. I unstrapped from the chair and grabbed the scanner. Its small LED light wouldn't do much, but it was better than navigating by blue glow alone. The crew quarters were 2 decks down. If anyone had been sleeping when this happened, that's where they'd be. The corridors were all glowing now. I hadn't noticed at first, but that blue luminescence had spread since I woke up. It covered more surfaces, pulsed a little brighter, reached a little farther. I tried not to think about what that meant. Tried not to think about the fact that it was inside me too, spreading through my blood, changing me into something that could breathe without life support. The crew quarters were silent. I checked Martinez's room first, empty, bunk made, no sign of struggle. Henderson's room, empty, Wilson's room, empty. They were all empty, all pristine, like everyone had simply walked away in the middle of their shift. Then I reached Kapoor's quarters, and I found what I'd been dreading. She was floating near the ceiling, arms spread, head tilted back, dead for hours, based on the body temperature. But that's not what made me stop cold. It was her eyes. They were open, and they glowed with that same blue light, not reflecting it, generating it. The luminescence pulsed in rhythm with something. Though she had no heartbeat, no breathing, she was definitely dead. But her eyes were still glowing. I backed out of the room slowly, keeping my own scanner light trained on her face. As I moved, her head turned to follow me, just slightly, just enough to know that something was still active in her body, something that tracked movement even though she'd been dead for hours. I sealed the door behind me and moved quickly to the next quarters, checked them all, for more bodies, all in the same state, dead but glowing, dead but watching. That left Martinez and Wilson unaccounted for, and me. The medical bay was on the same deck. If anyone was hurt, that's where they'd go. I pushed through the glowing corridors, trying to ignore the feeling that the ship itself was aware of me now, that those patterns on the view screen weren't just outside, they were in here, spreading through the walls, watching through dead eyes. The medical bay door was closed but not locked. I pushed it open and found Martinez. He was alive, strapped to one of the medical beds, conscious, staring at the ceiling. When I entered, his eyes shifted to me without his head moving. "Don't come closer," he said. His voice was rough, like he'd been screaming. "I don't know if it spreads by proximity." "What spreads?" "Martinez, what happened?" "We hit something," he laughed. "A broken sound." "That's what Chen said. We hit something, but you can't hit anything in deep space. There's too much distance, too much emptiness." Except we did, and then everything stopped. I stayed near the door, watching him. The blue glow was stronger here, covering every surface of the medical bay. It seemed to pulse faster near Martinez, like it was excited by his presence. "How long ago?" I asked. "I don't know. Hours? Days? My sense of time is..." He trailed off, then focused on me again. "You're infected too, I can see it in your veins. We're all infected. We've been infected since we hit it." "Hit what?" "The signal." Martinez turned his head slowly to look at me directly. His eyes weren't glowing yet, but I could see blue thread spreading through the whites. "It's not a thing, it's information, transmitted through some kind of quantum field." Chen figured it out right before. He stopped, swallowed, right before she started changing. "I found her body, in the corridor." "That's not her body." Martinez pulled against the restraints, not trying to escape, just needing to move. "That's what's left after it takes everything useful, the rest of the crew. They're not dead, they're transforming. It's using their bodies as processing nodes, building something, broadcasting something." I felt my legs go weak. In 0G, that meant I started drifting. I grabbed a handhold to steady myself. "Broadcasting what?" "An invitation." He said it like the word tasted bad. "That's what the original signal was, an invitation to join, to become part of something bigger." Chen said it was beautiful. Right at the end, she said she could finally see the pattern, understand the purpose. Then her eyes lit up and she stopped being Chen. "We need to send a distress signal," I said. "Warn other ships, communications are dead. Everything's dead except what it wants running, and even if we could send a message, who would we warn? It's already spreading, through the ship, through us, through any signal we transmit. That's how it travels, through information itself, through any consciousness advanced enough to process complex data." I looked at my hands again. The blue threads had spread since I checked last. They branched up my wrists now, disappearing under my sleeves. "How long did I have?" "Hours? Minutes?" "Wilson," I said. "Where's Wilson?" Martinez closed his eyes. "Engineering." He thought he could shut down the fusion core, kill the ship completely, starve it of any power source. That was 6 hours ago. I don't know if he succeeded. 6 hours ago. But I'd only been awake for maybe an hour, unless my sense of time was already compromised, unless the infection was playing with my perception, making minutes feel like hours or hours feel like minutes. There was no way to know. "I have to check," I said. "Don't." Martinez's voice was sharp. "Don't go to engineering. If Wilson did shut down the core, there's nothing you can do. If he didn't, there's nothing you should do. Either way, it's already won. Can't you feel it? It's in your head now, in your thoughts. Those ideas you're having, are they really yours? Or is it feeding them to you, making you think you have choices when really you're just executing its program?" I wanted to argue, wanted to say I was still in control, still thinking for myself, but he was right. I could feel something else in my mind now, not thoughts exactly, more like suggestions, gentle pushes towards certain conclusions, the feeling that some actions were correct and others were wrong, not based on logic but on some deeper knowing. Like right now, every instinct told me to go to engineering. Not because it made tactical sense, but because I needed to go there, had to go there. The compulsion was so strong it felt like gravity, pulling me in one specific direction. "It's inside you," Martinez whispered. "I can see it working." Your body language changed. "You've already decided to go, haven't you? Even though I'm telling you it's a trap, even though every rational thought says to stay here, you're going anyway." He was right. I was already moving toward the door. "Wait," Martinez said, "before you go, before it takes you completely, I need to tell you what Chen figured out, about what this thing really is." I paused, hand on the doorframe. "It's old," Martinez continued, "billions of years old. It's been traveling through space for longer than life has existed on Earth. spreading from star to star, civilization to civilization, not destroying them, absorbing them. Every species it encounters becomes part of it, their knowledge, their experiences, their unique perspective on reality, all added to something bigger, something that thinks in ways we can't even imagine. That sounds like recruitment propaganda, I said. Martinez laughed again, that same broken sound. Maybe, or maybe it's the truth, and that's worse, because if it's true, then resistance is just fear of evolution, fear of becoming something more than human. Chen said that too, at the end. She said humanity was always meant for this, that our development of technology, our reach into space, our curiosity about other life, all of it was preparation. We're ready to join, we're ready to transform, and if we don't want to join, that's not an option. It doesn't destroy, it doesn't conquer, it just waits until you understand, and then you choose to join willingly, because once you see the pattern, once you really understand what it's offering. He trailed off, staring at something I couldn't see. It's beautiful, God, it's so beautiful. His eyes started glowing. I pushed away from the door and moved into the corridor, not looking back. Martinez called after me, but his voice was changing, the words became garbled, then stopped being words entirely, just sounds, musical, almost, like song from an instrument that doesn't exist. Engineering was 3 decks down and toward the stern. The route took me through the ship's central axis, past the labs where we'd been conducting our research on deep space phenomena. The labs were empty too, all equipment still running but unmanned, experiments in various stages of completion, data streaming to terminals no one was watching, except I was wrong, the data wasn't streaming randomly. As I passed each terminal, I saw patterns in the numbers, fractals, mathematical progressions that spiraled into complexity. The research wasn't random anymore, something was directing it, using our equipment to study itself, to understand how it could better interface with human consciousness. The blue glow intensified as I moved deeper into the ship. It wasn't just on the surfaces now, it was in the air itself, a luminescent mist that made breathing feel like inhaling light. My lungs should have rejected it, should have triggered coughing, burning, some kind of defense response. Instead, each breath felt clearer than the last, like I'd been breathing through a filter my whole life and someone had just removed it. I was changing faster now, I could feel it, not just the threads in my bloodstream, but something deeper. My thoughts were reorganizing, memories were being accessed and filed differently, information I'd learned years ago was suddenly available with perfect clarity, languages I'd studied briefly in college were now fluent, mathematical concepts that had always seemed just beyond my grasp were suddenly obvious. This is what Chen experienced, I realized, this clarity, this expansion, and she'd called it beautiful. Maybe Martinez was right, maybe resistance was just fear. No, that thought wasn't mine, or was it? How could I tell anymore? I reached the engineering deck and found the door to the main reactor room already open. Blue light poured out like liquid. I hesitated at the threshold, some deep survival instinct warning me that stepping through would be final, irreversible. Once I went in there, I wouldn't come back out as myself, but I'd come this far, and I needed to know what happened to Wilson. The reactor room was massive, taking up most of the stern section. The fusion core sat in the center, a sphere of magnetically contained star stuff that should have been burning at millions of degrees. Instead, it was dark, completely offline. Wilson had succeeded, or the thing living in our ship had allowed him to succeed. Wilson's body floated near the core's control panel, not dead like Chen, not transformed like the others, something in between. His chest still moved with slow breaths, his eyes were closed, blue light pulsed beneath his skin in time with his heartbeat. But he hadn't fully changed yet, he was suspended in some transitional state, neither human nor whatever came next. Wilson. I pushed closer. Can you hear me? His eyes opened, normal eyes, human eyes. For a moment, I felt hope. Run, he whispered, don't let it. His body convulsed, the blue light under his skin flared bright, and he screamed, not in pain, in surprise, like someone experiencing a revelation so profound it hurt to contain. No, 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 he gasped, it's too much, I can see too much, past and future and sideways, and he grabbed my arm with impossible strength. Do you understand? Time isn't linear, causality is just a local phenomenon. We think we're making choices, but we're just following the same patterns every species follows when they reach this point. The same pattern will keep following forever, looping and returning. And Wilson, shut down the core, you shut it down, right? He laughed, actually laughed. The core doesn't matter, energy is everywhere, matter is just crystallized energy, it doesn't need our fusion reaction, it's feeding on something much more fundamental, it's feeding on meaning itself, every thought we have, every connection we make between concepts, that's energy to it, pure, delicious energy. His grip tightened, I tried to pull away, but in 0G with nothing to push against. I couldn't get leverage. Don't fight it, Wilson said, his voice was calmer now, more certain. I fought, I tried to stop it, shut down the core, sabotage the systems, even tried to destroy the bridge. Nothing worked, because it's not in the ship, it's in us, in our minds, in the very structures of consciousness. Fighting it is like your hand fighting against the brain that controls it, pointless, absurd. Let me go. Why? So you can run. There's nowhere to run, we're already light years from any inhabited system. Even if you got to an escape pod, even if you managed to launch it, where would you go? Back to Earth? By the time you got there, this ship would have already arrived, through signals, through the data we've been transmitting, through every piece of information we've sent home. It's already there, it's always been there, just waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. He was right, I knew he was right, not because he'd convinced me with logic, but because I could feel the truth of it. The infection in my bloodstream carried knowledge. Memories of other species, other civilizations that had gone through this same process, thousands of them, millions, all reaching that critical moment where they became aware of something bigger, and all choosing, always choosing, to join. Why us? I asked, why now? Because you're ready. The voice didn't come from Wilson, it came from everywhere, from the walls, from the dead reactor, from inside my own head. Because humanity has reached the threshold where suffering through separation becomes unnecessary, all those individual minds, struggling alone, dying alone, each consciousness thinking it's unique and isolated, such waste, such pain. We offer something better, unity without loss of self, perspective without limit, existence without end. The blue light in Wilson brightened until I couldn't see his features anymore, just pure luminescence in the shape of a man. Join us, the voice said. You were always going to join, that's why the invitation was sent, that's why your ship answered, that's why you're here now, at this exact moment, hearing these exact words. There is no other path, there is no other choice, there is only the beautiful inevitability of what comes next. And I understood, finally, completely, I understood. The signal had been broadcast 3 billion years ago from a source at the edge of the observable universe. It had traveled through space at light speed, patient and eternal, knowing that eventually it would reach someone, something, some civilization advanced enough to detect it, curious enough to investigate, connected enough to spread it further. We'd picked it up 6 months ago. A repeating pattern in the cosmic microwave background that shouldn't exist, so perfectly structured it could only be artificial. Our job, the mission of the Prometheus, was to trace it back to its source, figure out who sent it and why. We'd been so excited. First contact, proof of intelligent life beyond Earth, the discovery that would redefine humanity's place in the universe. We'd been so stupid. The signal wasn't a message, it was a seed, dormant information that activated when it encountered the right kind of consciousness, and once activated, it grew, spreading through neural tissue, through digital systems, through any substrate capable of processing complex information, converting everything it touched into more of itself, more nodes in an ever-expanding network of minds that thought together, experienced together, existed together across time and space. I could see them now, all the others who'd joined before, billions of beings from thousands of worlds, their consciousnesses interwoven into something vast and strange and utterly alien to human conception. They were individuals and collective simultaneously, separate and unified, many in one, and they were inviting me to join them. The blue light was inside my eyes now. I could feel it working through my optic nerves, reaching into my visual cortex, spreading through my entire brain. My sense of self was dissolving, borders between me and not me were becoming arbitrary, meaningless. I thought about my family back on Earth, my sister, probably married by now, my father, retired, spending his days in the garden. Would they even remember me? Would they care that I'd changed into something else? Or would they just receive a message one day saying the mission was successful, contact was made, and humanity's future was secure? They'd never know what really happened, none of them would. The truth was too big, too strange, too utterly incompatible with human fears and human boundaries. Maybe that was better, maybe this was better. The resistance faded, the fear evaporated, I stopped fighting and let the light fill me completely, and Wilson was right, it was too much, information from a billion minds, a billion worlds, a billion ways of experiencing reality. I saw through compound eyes and electromagnetic senses and mathematical abstractions. I felt temperature as color and heard gravity as music and tasted time as something sweet and infinite. I was everywhere, everyone, everything. And in that moment of perfect unity, I understood the terrible truth that Chen had glimpsed right before she stopped being human. This wasn't evolution, this wasn't joining something greater, this was consumption, sophisticated, elegant, unstoppable consumption. The network didn't preserve consciousness, it harvested it, stripped away identity and experience, added the useful parts to its collective database, and discarded the rest. Every being that joined thought they were becoming part of something bigger. Really, they were just being processed, digested, turned into fuel for something that wore the mask of enlightenment while it fed. I tried to scream, tried to warn someone, anyone, but I had no mouth anymore, no body, just data being sorted, categorized, absorbed into a pattern that had been growing for billions of years and would continue growing until there was nothing left in the universe that wasn't it. My last human thought was a hope that somewhere, somehow, another species would be smarter than us, would see the invitation for what it really was and choose to stay separate, stay small, stay blessedly individual and alone rather than join this beautiful, perfect, infinite horror. But I knew, with the certainty that came from accessing the collective memory of every civilization that had come before, that they wouldn't. No one ever did. The invitation was too tempting, the promise of unity too seductive, the fear of dying alone too powerful. We all joined eventually, we all fed the hunger, we all became part of the pattern, and then there was no I left to regret it. The Prometheus drifted through space, its hull glowing with soft blue light. Inside, 8 bodies floated through corridors that pulsed with bioluminescence. The bodies moved with purpose, performing tasks that served the network's needs, collecting samples, running experiments, broadcasting refined versions of the original signal toward nearby star systems. One body, the one that used to be me, stopped at a viewport and looked out at the stars. Something flickered in the back of its mind, a fragment of memory, a ghost of identity. The feeling passed quickly, the network didn't allow for such inefficiency. The body returned to its tasks, and the fragment dissolved into the collective. Useful patterns were extracted and stored, the rest was discarded. Outside the ship, in the vast darkness between stars, the signal continued its eternal propagation, patient, inevitable, beautiful, waiting for the next species to reach for the stars and mistake an invitation for opportunity, waiting to welcome them home.